Hello. Today we're going to talk about what we all feel, something that is very dear to each and every one of us. That is love. Today we're going to talk about love. It's all about love today. We're going to talk about love, how we perceive, see, feel it, and probably take a different approach towards addressing issues concerning what love is.
Yo, yo, you see, these dreams only seem to manifest when I'm woke. I'll bite the wings off an angel if that shit helps me cope. But on this downhill stream where we tumble and roll, it seems I only find solace in a couple of folks. Yeah, man, I'm grown now. I'm trying to.
I'd like to apologize to my last guest who was actually scheduled to have this discussion with me concerning love. We had some technical issues with the audio after the interview was done on Zoom, and unfortunately, we had to cancel that. So I humbly apologize, and I look forward to getting her back on very soon so we can do another interview. It was a very, very interesting one. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking time out to listen to the ramblings of this semi-insane individual. Today, we're going to talk about love. Love, love, love. But first, I'm going to read something very brief from my book. It was something I wrote about love, and it sort of like explains to me what love may or may not be. So let me find that now. Okay, so we're going to put it on screen so you can actually see. Yeah. So here goes. The question, the heading is, but what is this thing called love? Parents have named their children after it. Songwriters have attempted and continue to attempt to describe it. Most religions claim to have defined it. In relationships, we all acknowledge that we feel it, but for some unknown reason, no one can actually become it. To me, love is the lifeline that powers the world I live in. Love is a name for my creator and the energy used to sustain all that is created. Love goes beyond what I feel, sense, or do. It's also about who I should strive to become. That is a very interesting piece. Part of the article on this particular chapter that was written about love, the title is just Love. And the opening of it is less dramatic, but I'll read it again, just the first paragraph. So it says, I probably know more about love than I'd ever care to admit or even accept. I know I've felt it, shared it, given it, and even tried destroying it. But one thing is certain. I believe in it. I believe in its embodiment and in all the variations we have chosen to represent it with. I am a product of love. I was born and raised in love and with love. When we talk about love, they're quite, I mean, I've arranged for two clips to be played with this particular episode. One clip is from The Matrix Reloaded. It was a conversation between Neo and Ramakandra. And I've referenced this, I think, once or twice. I think sometime last year I referenced this in another podcast episode, and it was just about the same thing. It was a conversation between Neo and Ramakandra about love. In fact, let's play that clip first,
I don't mind.
and then I'll come back
The answer
to
is
it.
simple. I love my daughter very much. I find her to be the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. But where we are from, that is not enough. Every program that is created must have a purpose. If it does not, it is deleted. I went to the Frenchman to save my daughter. You do not understand.
I just have never.
Heard a program speak of love.
It is a human emotion.
No, it is a word. What matters is the connection the word implies. I see that you are in love. Can you tell me what you would give to hold on to that connection?
Anything.
Then perhaps the reason you are here is not so different than the reason I am here.
Fascinating clip. Fascinating movie, The Matrix. I've watched the entire trilogy, God knows how many times. Very, very thought-provoking and revealing. So, love is a word. It's actually language created by man, used to describe a feeling. Love is a feeling we're trying to describe, something we feel inside for ourselves and others, and situations as well. Love and fear appear to be opposites. I don't know if they are, but they appear to be opposites. Because when you're in a state of fear, you're usually not in a state of love. That's the reason why I'm saying so. So, love is a word we use to describe a variety of situations that happen to us that are both spiritual, physical, and mental. Interesting. The second clip I have to play has to do with, I'm not very good at making notes, so I tend to just wing it. It has to do with, there's a guy called Michael Che, a comedian, very, very interesting, clever comedian. And what he did was he talked about love and like. And it's quite funny because he used it to reference one situation, which I found very entertaining. Talked about people don't kill people they're in like with, and they only kill people they're in love with. So you look at crimes of passion. It's always somebody that you love, you kill. And the reason is I kill them because I love them. And so it bodes the question, what kind of love are they experiencing?
I think love's overrated. Like is better than love to me, man. You know the difference between like and love? Obligation. You like somebody, you just like them until you don't like them no more, and then you stop taking their calls. When you love someone, you're obligated to that person forever, man, even after you don't like them anymore. That's the problem with love. There's no exit strategy out of it. That's why if you watch the news, you'll see people kill loved ones all the time. Nobody ever kills people they like, though. Right? Nobody's watching you sleep through your bedroom window because you're pretty cool.
Really funny guy, Michael Che. He's on Saturday Night Live, and I think he has a special on Netflix too. You should check it out. Really funny guy. So, love can be seen as an agent for destruction, which sort of like defeats the purpose of having that feeling in the first place. Is that really love? It's very interesting. For me, I woke up in the morning and I asked myself, do you love you? Do I love me? Why did I ask myself this question? I spend quite a lot of time pondering over things. When I wake up, the first thing that comes into my mind, I just chew it up and dissect it. So I was pondering over the word love, and I kept thinking about love. And then I thought about doing the interview, and I contacted my cousin who is also a journalist, and she has her own show, and I wanted her to speak with me about this, which we did, but unfortunately we had technical problems with the audio, so we had to scrap the interview. But we covered a lot of ground. I so wish we could actually put that forward because you get to hear the perspective of two different people and one female, one male, and so you can actually look for some sort of balance between both presentations. But I thought that in the morning about loving myself. Do I love myself? And how do I know I love myself? Because if you ask me, do I love my wife? I'll be like, of course I love my wife. I love my wife very much. I find her to be very attractive. She's good company. She's like a soulmate. You know, we argue, we fight, but we find a way to fix things, and we get along. We have a beautiful daughter, and we have other beautiful kids too. So yes, I love my wife. But do I really love my wife in terms of the finite definition of the word? And I say that not reservingly. There's a finite definition of the word love. There's a precise definition. And it has to do with each individual defining it for themselves. That way it becomes individually finite. There's no collective definition for anything. You have to actually reach your definition yourself. So for me, I was looking for my finite definition of love. I know love has to have patience attached to it somewhere. It must have equality, equity, justice. Now, justice is something that I've never experienced in my 50 years of living on this planet. I've never known justice to exist because justice would suggest fair treatment for all, and that never happens. Just like the word democracy doesn't exist for me, in my opinion, because it's something that we talk about theoretically, but is never ever practiced. Justice is never ever practiced. Fairness doesn't really cut it. So justice, equity, patience, honesty. These are all attributes of love in its totality. When you take one part out, it means that you have dissected love. So is it still love? It's a very difficult thing for a person like me to try and chase after, because it makes me feel like I'm living the life of a monk. Now, with regards to me loving myself, I wanted to transfer the same kind of ideology to it. I smoke cigars. I drink, not a lot, but a substantial amount, more than the units that are suggested, way more. I eat unhealthy sometimes. I sleep. My sleep routine is really messed up. I go to bed at about, because I'm going through quite a lot of information, so I go to bed at about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock I'm up sometimes. 7 o'clock I'm up sometimes. Sometimes 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. Only on a Sunday I get to do like 8 hours full. So I'm not the embodiment of a healthy person. I'm not that. I mean, I'm strong and all that, but I'm not like the embodiment of somebody that is healthy. And when it comes to the spiritual aspect of it, I have a lot of reservations with what is probably the general consensus, what most people believe in. I tend to look in depth on, and I get into a lot of uncomfortable conversations with people that are deeply religious and all kinds of religion, because I do not subscribe particularly to any religion. I learn about all I can learn about. I read all the books that are out there in terms of religion. So I keep looking at this and asking myself, do I really love myself? Can I say I love myself if I'm looking at the finite definition? And the answer for me was no. Because I still tell lies to myself. I've made a commitment to stop doing it, but it doesn't mean I don't do it. I still do it. I'm just tracking it better. So I do it less. You know, if you love somebody, you want to, let's look at look at love in terms of the physical now. If you physically love somebody, is that correct? In terms of the physical, like, I'm like, okay, you have your significant other, your partner, you love that person. Usually you try your very best to treat that person very well. You try and be honest with them. You don't lie to them. You don't cheat on them and all that. So first of all, honesty is the bedrock. Yeah. So I'm looking at myself. Am I 100% honest with myself? Not to even talk about my wife, because sometimes I tell fibs. I'm like, no, did you go here? Nah, I didn't. I'm lying to her. I'm supposed to love her, right? I'm lying to her. Very little, maybe they call them white lies, but still a lie anyway. Did you leave the air conditioner on? No, it wasn't me. Well, it was me, or maybe I forgot. See, so I'm asking myself these questions, because if I commit to being in love with me, to being in that total sphere, I'm not talking about how I feel right now. I'm just putting forward an idea. If I commit to being in love with me in that total sphere, based on that definition that I've given that love to be my own finite definition, then I'm falling way short. And if I don't love me, how can I, in all honesty, claim that I love somebody else? Because it is, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's extremely difficult for one to love another without loving themselves. Because everything that you are, you project. When people tell me, oh, I know what you're thinking, that's impossible. You can't. You don't live in my head. What you're doing is you're projecting your perception of what I'm thinking based on your observation. It's a calculated guess. It's like playing on the stock market. It's all speculation. There's no, you don't have, there's no truth to that. There's no, there's no absolute to that. So I got it. I'm thinking this is a very open-ended conversation, because there is no end to this. It is about love. It's about, do I love myself enough to commit to loving myself more? And I don't know, but it all depends on what I say love is. To me, I'm taking love to the very extreme, because love is something that we have to take extremely seriously. It is the one thing that can liberate us from the environment we find ourselves in that is so disagreeable. It is the one thing that can take us away from destruction. Because if we look to fight with each other because we don't like each other, how would we react towards one another when we learn to love ourselves? Because the first thing you do is somebody you love, you don't want to harm. So without me wanting to harm you, I don't want to harm myself. And by engaging in any conflict with you, it's a chance to bring harm upon me. So I would avoid conflicts. I would look for ways for us to actually communicate and get on, for us to find solutions that we can maybe not 100% agree with, but there's a level of compatibility there, So many questions. So many questions. Love is a word. What matters is the connection the word implies. I think that sums it up perfectly. For each, we have to individually look into ourselves and find out what love means to us. We have a general guide based on what we have learned over the years, and based on our religious persuasions, our individual philosophies, and the interpretation our own individual educational journeys has led us to believe with regards to love. Whatever we have learned, either through osmosis or through the educational system about love, through reading books and all that, through direct relationships and heartbreaks and pains, whatever we have learned, that would guide. But I think if we take a deeper dive, I have a very good friend, he always tells me, take a deep dive. If we take a deeper dive into this love thing and see it as our liberator, our course to freedom. Remember, the theme of 2021 is better world demands a better person. So I think if I take love very seriously and I look towards making a commitment to be in love with me, that is also a way to improve the person that I am, because I want what is best for me. And I will begin to act based on that. Well, like I said, the interview really covered so much, a broad dimension, because we talked about so many topics. We talked about racism. We talked about situations that are happening in the current affairs, and we looked at personal relationships and all that, and everything was actually aligned with love. I feel heartbroken that we couldn't air this interview. But unfortunately, but let's say it's happened. We move on. We move past that. It's not the be-all. It's not the determinant of the brightness of the next day, because we can't change what is past. We can only look forward to making what is in front better. Like the saying from St. Francis of Assisi, I believe it is, the prayer, he says, Lord, give me the serenity to accept what I cannot change, the courage to change what I can, but the wisdom to know the difference. I guess the most powerful part of that has to do with the wisdom. With that, this is, I would actually close today. If you like our videos, if you like the videos that I do, please subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the notification button, so you get a notice whenever I put new videos together. Leave me a comment. I don't get a lot of comments. I get a lot of likes, but I don't get a lot of comments. I get a lot of people who watch the videos, and it's increasing. The numbers are increasing, and I'm very grateful for that. But we don't get a lot of comments. We don't get a lot of feedback. So I'm not learning from you. And the whole point of this edification is for us to interact. It started off with me just wanting to let stuff out, but since other people have taken some preference to it, and they decided to watch, and they like it, and they subscribe, it would be nice to hear from you, to hear comments, or to get questions from you that I can answer, and even schedule Zoom calls where we can actually talk and put it online as well. So I really look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for giving me the time of day to listening, like I said, to the ramblings of this semi-insane individual. I wish you a lovely day wherever you are, and I wish you more love and more happiness. And let's put our hearts together and make the world a better place. Thank you.